Today, integrity and Facebook turned special guest Jim into a millionaire. Today's episode is brought to you by Thrive Themes. Beautiful WordPress templates, beautiful landing pages, and perfect sales pages. Everything you need to make your business thrive. Go to servenomaster.com/Thrive Themes.
Are you tired of dealing with your boss? Do you feel underpaid and underappreciated? If you want to make it online, fire your boss and start living your retirement dreams now, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Serve No Master Podcast, where you'll learn how to open new revenue streams and make money while you sleep. Presented live from a tropical island in the South Pacific by best-selling author Jonathan Green. Now, here's your host.
I'd love to hear basically how you got started. You went from lawyer to kind of working for yourself. How did you make that jump?
While I was working for a lawyer, especially I was working in a UK law firm, one of the big ones down there. So they basically monopolized my time from about 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. But past 8 p.m., I had time till about 2 a.m. because I lived pretty close to the office. And so I had probably 4 or 5 hours, 5 hours in a good day, 4 hours in a bad day, to just hustle and do work. And during that time, I created a company by the name of Altitude Shoes. And it was just basically trying to sell products online. And, it wasn't meant to be I thought it would create a passive income. It was just a way to kind of get involved with something else that would generate revenue outside the company. I really hustled, all that stuff that Gary Vaynerchuk, who shows up on my feed, constantly says about hustling after work. That's kind of what I did. While people were out partying, I basically spent that time just trying to figure this website stuff out. And I eventually did. And lo and behold, it kind of worked out. Made probably about $500, $800 a month for a few months. And high months it'd make a few $1,000. But from that point, I basically pivoted to a different company, because this is the thing, like a lot of the time, it's not just the iteration of a company, it's the iteration of yourself. So what did I have to do then? I realized from that company that the key was in actually selling product online. And so I decided to I had to figure out how to sell product online. That's when I went to SEO. I started an SEO company based on that, because as I started to do SEO for my site, my shoe site, other people who were friends, whatever, contacts, they would come to me and ask me for SEO help. So I ended up creating a company around that. And then I had this SEO company, and I partnered with a few guys, made a lot of mistakes in that company as well. And then past that company, that's when I started to see the potential of paid traffic and media buying, right? And that's when I actually discovered, through another friend of mine who was sort of tangential to that space, that paid traffic acquisition was the most scalable type of acquisition. And that's when I went into what is otherwise known as affiliate marketing. The initial escape of the 9 to 5 really was right after between the transition of the shoe company and the SEO company. So it's within that transition that I actually escaped the law firm, when I was like, okay, I'm making some reasonably good money on this, nothing exciting. I left the law firm, massive pay cut, moved out from my place, went into a crappier apartment, and then just started to really focus on trying to make money and trying to work really hard to build something outside of it. Did a lot of cold calls, and that's where the actual SEO company started to rise quite quickly. And yeah, that was and then, in every one of these phases is also the transition. So, the law firm helped me to build the shoe company. The shoe company's revenues helped me to build the SEO company. In fact, the SEO company was derivative from it. And then the eventual paid acquisition was funded almost by the SEO company, because once I sold my shares to my partners, it kind of bought me just like a year. And all I needed was like 6 to 12 months, but it bought me a year of just being able to spend my time figuring out paid traffic acquisition. And I basically did nothing else during that time except focus on that and not make money. In the beginning, it was very difficult to make money. So luckily I had the runway of a year and more time, because that was kind of supporting me.
Okay, so you had enough money saved up for a year from selling off your shares in the SEO company, and that gave you like the breathing room to work all day, every day, and not have to have a day job while you were trying to learn paid traffic?
Right. But even before then, during the shoe company, I was making some from the shoe company. I also I did a bunch of things like shoe company. I had a few online products. There were a few things that I was doing, even just like random other hustles that I was doing just to make money while I was in the law firm in order to come out of it and be able to survive to build the SEO company. So it was actually the shoe company plus like some info products I created. Like it just kind of just bought me that time to really focus, if you look at my life back then, like at the point of the actual shoe company, you could say that like I had achieved some form of autonomy, because I was already doing reasonably well, but I wanted to take things to the next level. Like I didn't want to be within like the 50 to 100,000 a year mark. I wanted to be in the millions in a year mark. And eventually when I hit that, the way that actually all kind of fell into place was because I basically hit this, this level of being able to be autonomous, but not really living, in inverted commas, baller lifestyle, but then it just freed the time up. And I used that time. I didn't use that time to travel. I didn't use that time to like party. I used that time to basically focus, to put into the next thing. And that's why I feel like, that's why I was able to take things to the next level. So in direct response to your question, it was just the side hustles and the shoe company, and like the info products and just everything I was doing to get me out of the habit of relying on my income from the law firm. And then past that point, building on that strength to continually grow from strength to strength, basically.
Okay. So during this year where you're learning paid traffic, how did you go down that path? Like, how did you choose the type of products you're going to try and promote? How did you try to learn to buy traffic? Can you tell me a little bit about that process and that experience?
Okay, so this is past the SEO company, right? And into paid traffic. So with paid traffic, what happened was I ended up joint venturing with a lot of people. In the beginning, the joint ventures weren't making any money. And then some made a little bit of money. I just tried to work with as many people as I could, like really get lost in the field, start from the ground up and do a lot of reading, a lot of testing, lose a lot of money. It was very depressing for probably the entire year. Like the entire year was very depressing. The year after, even though I was making some money, it was still kind of depressing. It was a lot of time and effort and energy put into things which weren't really hitting. And one day a buddy of mine comes along and he says, but the accumulation of everything I was learning from these joint ventures and the continual knocks that I received downwards were little to my knowledge, shaping me for, the eventual successes, because eventually what happened was a friend of mine was like, hey, you've helped me out a lot. I really like you. Here's a campaign he was for Groupon. He gave me his campaign. And he's like, just don't run it in the UK. And he kind of mentored me through it a little bit, right? I'd helped him on some other things in the past. And this is like, I'm a big believer of like being a forward giver and not necessarily thinking too much about what to receive in return in the beginning. But, he goes, look here, take this campaign. But it really wasn't that he gave it to me, right? Before then, I had known what Facebook was about. I'd known how the account system worked. I'd known, how to launch successful ads. I'd known how to get creatives approved. I'd known where to get accounts. I'd known I understood, and this was primarily Facebook. I understood exactly. I was living and breathing it. I understood that. I understood the funding cycles. I understood back then when I was using affiliate networks. I understood affiliate networks. I understood offers. Like I'd launched campaigns before. So it was like I could do it within 20 minutes. And then I was also stronger on understanding the platform itself. And I was actually more creative because I'd been put through a lot. So when he gave me this, I basically expanded it into, multiple thousands of dollars a day in net, because of the talent that I had with, or the ability that I had with both platform and creative and like ad type and stuff like that on the Facebook platform. So yes, of course, it was kind of lucky that I'd helped him and that he was helping me back. And trust me, I'd helped numerous people. Like for one of him, there were 20 that I'd helped, right? And I'm just so lucky that I kept helping people, I'm so lucky. And then from there, that was really the first time it kind of really clicked for me. in that real, in that, it wasn't really a joint venture. It was more that relationship. But, it was bound to happen. The more I think about it, I was just talking to so many people. It was a inevitability that I would achieve some success at some point because I was hustling so hard. I was like literally so focused. It was unbelievable,
Okay, so what was your next crux point? Like, what was the next moment where you jumped up another level?
Okay, so the next moment was after that point, I started to get some attention in the industry, right? Like, because they were like, oh, so this guy's not just a hack. Like, he's, because at that point, before that point, like, I try and spend money, wouldn't make it money. And people were trying to help me. And I just, not that I didn't get it, I just I didn't have and he gave me working with this guy, seeing what a real campaign looked like, seeing one that actually made money and having him as not a mentor. He didn't really mentor me. He's just like, if I had a mentor, that would have been even more fantastic, right? He cut my learning time down by, I don't know, a lot. But, a mentor has to feel irradiated towards you, or he has to feel like he wants to help you, and they're very difficult to find mentors. So especially good ones, like a lot of people will mentor you and they're actually not so good themselves, and that's actually a big problem because it will limit your success. But sometimes that's all you have to cling on to, and you kind of got to cling on to it. The next time was actually I would consider him the first guy to be a mentor. The second guy was just because I started growing from strength to strength. So past that campaign, I partnered with someone else and immediately we became profitable on it was a BizOp campaign at that point in time, right? Business opportunity. And then past that point, it was just because I started to introduce myself to more people, know more people, have a higher quality of person that I was surrounded with. And, I just kept trying to work with people in the hope that, I'd continually basically evolve, and that can happen. And then I got a reputation for being fair. Like, what I really hated was people to lose money, and I would never take really unfair margins. I would never take I would always think of the other person. And I still have that reputation now, and it serves me so well because, there are times where I've literally lost 40 to 80 grand just because of a business transaction that did badly. And I will never work for that person again. And if anyone ever asks me about that person, I can't give them a good introduction. But it's the impact of the reputation that I was building. I didn't even see this, right? But I didn't like the fact that if other people were to lose because I was winning, especially the people I was doing business with, right? So instead, I tried to create situations where, as much as possible, there was a fairness of the transaction, and they felt they were getting a good deal, and I felt that I was getting a good deal as well, right? And if they ever lost, there's sometimes I would just take losses because I didn't want my reputation to be damaged. And all this actually led to us. And in the book Give and Take, the author says that it's really the givers. It's in terms of who succeeds the most, it's the givers at the very bottom, the takers at the top, and at the very, very top, there are the givers, right? This is the way of the world, he says. This is in his studies, and he's a Stanford professor or something like that, right? And I feel like I was not at the very bottom, but I definitely wasn't hitting it super hard. But one day, someone comes to me and he goes, oh, hey, I've got someone I want to introduce you to. Do you mind helping him out? He's got issues with accounts and he doesn't know how to fix them. He's amazing, really good. And you're the only one I trust to actually work with him, because whenever I send someone to you, they come out feeling like there's a good deal, or you help them, or, something. I was like, oh, dude, no problem, send him over. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, whatever. I get, occasionally you may meet other affiliates and, you just have conversations, but, and this kid, he was 19 at the time. He goes to me, oh, there's this new ad format I'm looking at, but I don't have any accounts. Do you mind if I launch on yours? And I was like, well, I'm kind of busy with mine. I go, I guess, if you really want, we can have a joint venture, And he goes, yeah. He's like, I'm not sure. He's like, but, I've never heard someone speak. Because truly, when someone joint ventures with you, you can really steal a lot of their campaigns, a lot of their stuff, So, so I was like, look, I go, all I can do is give you my word that I won't steal it, that we'll run it together. And that's why he's recommending you to me. But, I can give you some tips on, how Facebook accounts work and that sort of thing. But, I have my allocation. I don't have more, and they're being used. And he goes, look, let's just do it with one. And this kid basically had discovered a glitch it wasn't a glitch. It was just like the first time a specific ad format had come out. He was just like able to generate thousands of % in ROI, like immediately, that singular joint venture changed the way, because it basically converted me. Like, then I started to get people's real attention because we were doing so much volume. We started really getting the attention of big people. I started getting invited to the more private industry events. So even now, like, I have full access to the largest affiliates if I really want to. I'm kind of retired now, so I don't use it anymore. I made it very, very clear to everyone that they were not to impinge upon, not to steal his glory, not to steal his campaigns, not to steal anything, and just to, but that was fine. Like, he wasn't running in Germany, for example. So, we were just like, okay, well, I guess we'll run Germany. And so that was kind of a big leap. And then after that, it's like you hit a level that you're actually very comfortable. It's not comfortable. It's difficult for anyone to take what you have, because then I started getting invited to very, very exclusive events, offers, different business opportunities, different partnership opportunities. And from that point, it was so easy for me to create value, even just by way of my relationships with people. Like, I could introduce some X to Y and create a lot of value. And sometimes I would get something from it, and sometimes I wouldn't. But the point being, I was all of a sudden someone who, because of the contacts I made from these, because I was considered to be one of the best after those times, or really like a serious player, that they started introducing me to other serious players, and more people started to pay attention. And then it's a very small number of people who are at the top who sort of share the power, and they're all doing like incredible numbers, millions a year, but they don't talk to many people. Like, I don't do many interviews like this because I just don't want people having a clue how I did it, what I did. Like, it's not really, why would I do it, right? Because it doesn't make any sense for me. Like, it's not that I don't want other people to know, but I'm really focused in pursuing, I don't want everyone coming to me, newbies or whatever else, and asking me how I did stuff, because for me, that's kind of low rent, as opposed to creating really massive business deals and opportunities, which I am still doing now, that can create huge amounts of value, between the power players as opposed to the smaller ones. That's kind of why, because I have a very strong reputation with the right people. And I think that's what's important. I have no desire to have a reputation amongst the masses, let's say,
Sure. So really, it basically was a combination of your really hard work, like putting your head down and focusing for a year or two to really learn Facebook ads, combined with basically your networking skills, like the part of opportunity.
Yeah. And networking skills, like, exactly. And networking skills has to do with adding value, amazing experiences with the person, providing good emotions. And the last one is making sure that when people are around you, when they contact you, they win or they feel like they won. That's so important. That last one, you can manipulate all you want on social relationships. If people don't win when they're around you, and I say win, I don't mean necessarily financially. It may be that they feel good. It may be that they feel good. They have a good time. There's amazing experiences. They might, whatever the thing is that you can create the most value. That's networking. Networking, in my opinion, is the ability to touch someone and make their life better. You have the intention, but do you actually do it? Like, and most people will say yes, but I have created millions of dollars for other people. I've introduced people to their future wives. Like, I've done things which have tremendously added value. Not one where it's like, oh, I try and make people around me better off, because everyone tries to do that, right? But the actual attainment of value when they're around you, of tangible actual value, like, that is high level networking, in my opinion. Now I can do it very easily. If someone needs X and Y, then I can easily say, this person can also provide X and Y. Here, I'll connect the two, and that is massive value in itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So much of my success came from our relationship. You taught me a lot about networking, forming relationships, and all of the stuff that kind of we were doing in London a long time ago really is how I built my business in America. So, I'm a believer. That's why I'm so excited to have a little time with you, because it's kind of like most people are used to hearing it from me, but now they're getting the same information like from the source, from where I learned it.
Well, I'm glad. Thanks, man. That's a nice compliment.
If you remember, like, I remember so vividly when I showed up at that one meeting and you were like, how did you even get here? And it was like, that was my beginning networking skills, because two different guys invited me, and that was the beginning of our relationship, where we became buddies.
It's true.
And so many people, I think, struggle with understanding the value of giving value. I try to do the same thing where I give people like a good experience and give people a good feeling and try to do the same type of connecting things. And it's so valuable because you never know where, like, we just got back in touch. We haven't talked in a few years just because someone else asked someone for a favor. Daniel asked Jesse, then Jesse put Daniel in touch with me. And then now you and me are talking, and, it's like these little things, putting out these strong relationships.
Exactly.
They pay off so slowly sometimes. Like sometimes you just do someone a favor and 6 years later they pop up.
That's exactly what happened with the first. Remember I told you the first break? That's exactly what happened. Like, I had not heard this guy for literally 3 years or something like that. And he hits me up and he's like, he was just like, I got this thing and I want you to see it because it's life changing and you changed my life. And it was just such a weird moment. You know what I mean? So huge. I couldn't agree with you more, put it that way.
Really, the most important things people can do starting out would be to really focus on their networking, putting value into the world. Like, a lot of people think that, I have no value to offer. And I always say that start off by just giving people a good time, make people feel good, give people a good experience is enough. Most people, like, I go to a lot of events, and I know people that like make crazy amounts of money. Like, some of the people I've worked with are doing big money, $10 million, $20 million a project, and everyone walks up to them, pitching them ideas all the time. But then the one person who walks up and is just friendly and says, hey, your products were amazing, and you're such a great guy, I really appreciate it, that's the person he wants to talk to.
Yeah, but see, I feel like you don't even have to go to that level. Like, the disadvantage of being that person, honestly, I wouldn't even approach people at that level in the beginning, right? I would approach them only by way of, hey, how you doing? Just not even trying to get anything, just like being on their radar pinging, because you have nothing to offer them and you have nothing to but you can develop it, right? What is the number one thing you can offer to someone? It's your ability to execute and the things that you have learned, like the fact that I execute very well. If I go into any industry and execute well, it's still value to someone, right? So this is what I mean. It's like, instead of going up to those people, go to people who are maybe a level or two above you and say, hey, is there anything I can do? Like, I can execute this for you. I can execute, take a percentage, take whatever, let me execute for you. And of course they're going to say yes. It's the way that my team works even. Like, it's the way I brought people into my company, just by way of them saying to me, look, I can execute. Let me do some stuff for you. I'm like, okay, look, I have opportunities. Fine. Go ahead and execute. Because otherwise there would be nothing in the table. And that's big. And eventually your value, if you like, goes on to become your network and other things, like the fact that people trust you. That in itself is a huge, that trust factor is massive. Like, now if I tell someone, because I just won't be introduced people who I can't trust with the job, but if I tell someone that X and Y are going to do well together, and X and, I tell that to X and tell that to Y, then they'll work together based on the trust that they have with me, because they know that when I put them together like that, then they should take it seriously, because there's A, opportunity, and B, their reputation, not just with the other person, but with me, is on the line as well. And so this is a different level though. And what I'm trying to say in summary is that I wouldn't approach them for maybe you could, again, like, go out with them, have a good time, and eventually that's how some of the guys got to work with me. Like, and literally there's this one kid, and he would go out all the time, and honestly, he just got me
girls.
Really strange. And back in the day, but I was like, and then eventually he's like, You know, I liked him. I could see that he was trying to add value, and I could see I also see he wanted to learn from me. And I was like, I told him outright, there's no chance of me teaching him anything. Then 6 months later, circumstances change, but he's still adding value, doing nothing except adding value. So circumstances change, there's an opportunity, and he's like, Luke, let me jump on this. And I was like, okay, now he's crushing it, doing really well, So yeah, you're right. It's adding value and being able to execute. I would definitely agree with that.
Okay. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you giving so much solid knowledge. And, I know you don't do interviews very often and you kind of stay in the shadows, which I totally understand. But I think this is some amazing information to really help people kind of find a path to escaping their own cubicle prisons. To celebrate the launch of the Serve No Master podcast, I'm giving away some epic prizes. You could win an Amazon tap and have me personally turn you into a best-selling author. To win your part of over $20,000 in prizes, go to servenomaster.com/contest.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Serve No Master. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss another episode. We'll be back tomorrow with more tips and tactics on how to escape that rat race. Head over to servenomaster.com/podcasts now for your chance to win a free copy of Jonathan's bestseller, Serve No Master. All you have to do is leave a 5-star review of this podcast. See you tomorrow.